Hi, it's Sandra here from Creating Spain. Welcome to my channel. Today I wanted to show you a design that I have done for basically what is, well, you could use it as a stencil, but it's an embossing mat basically. Now I've cut this from a plastic which was, I'm trying to think what it was, sort of like a cheap table matty type thing. And it's very, very tough, and although it's quite thin, it's quite crisp and it cuts really well, so it makes a very good embossing mat. So I will link the file to this below, but I just wanted to show you different things that you can achieve with the same product. Now obviously if you wanted to, you could use this as a stencil, no reason why not. I haven't done it yet. I might include a bit on that at the end of the video if I get around to it. But this is perfectly adequate to use if you have an embossing machine like I've got the Evolution, where you have a foam pad and then you have a sandwich and you can press this into your paper or your card. Now the other thing that you can do, if you happen to have a cutting machine that has a embossing tool or even an empty pen nib or something of that type, you can actually use the design onto paper directly and just press it into the card or the paper that you're using. Now if you're going to do that, I suggest that you put a piece of craft foam or a piece of felt underneath your paper or your card, and then go very gently at first to work out what pressure you need to use. And then if you want to, you can obviously go around this with maybe glitter pens or anything else like that if you wanted to. Colour it in, do whatever you like with it. Now when it comes to using it on card, this is the result that it gives. Hopefully you can see that. So this is the raised side, and this is the other side. Okay, you could say this is the raised side as well, but it depends which version you want. And yeah, actually that's the pressed in version, isn't it? But it does raise the middle bits. Anyway, it's up to you which side you like. I happen to like this side in preference to that one, but you know, that's just me. And the reason that I have done this without any kind of frame on it is so that you can use it if you want to in the middle of a larger piece, or you can put it off to one side or whatever. It's not going to have a frame in there to make it impossible for you to use on perhaps one half of the card front. Now the other way that I've used that is to do it with a metallic card. So this is the metallic mirror in blue, and it gives a really nice effect on that. And the other one that I have is this on black, and you may struggle to see that at the moment. So what I'm going to do with this one, I have a blending tool and I have a Versamark pad, and I'm just going to go over lightly with this. Now I may or may not end up having to go over it again. I don't know. It's very hard to see what the result might be because I can't see the Versamark either. So there we go. And now I have these, which are face highlighters. I don't use them for the face, I use them for craft purposes, but I have them in different colours. And all I'm going to do is splatter some colours over. And I'm using these because although I do have some specialist pigment powders, not everyone has those. Not everyone can get them too easily. They are relatively expensive. Whereas this sort of thing, these were I think about €6 each, so they're not too bad. These are Revolution, apparently, baked highlighter, this one. And you can already see that they are different in colour, because this one is coming out quite pinky colour, which is unusual because it looks like it's peach, but it's coming out looking pink. Okay, that's probably enough. And then I'm going to take a really large brush and swirl this all around. Ooh, that's pretty. I like that. Now, as you can see, I did get some of the Versamark onto the design underneath, or the paper underneath, I should say, but it really doesn't make that much difference. It's just a pretty finish. If you wanted to make sure you didn't get it on anything other than the raised bits, then you'd have to do a deeper emboss. I didn't do a really deep emboss with it, but that looks pretty nice. Okay, so in this case I'm going to use it as a stencil, and I'm just going to get some inks out to use on that. How much should I go for? Okay, I think I'll go for those three. Right, so let's see what we get from this. And I'm going to start off with what is probably my palest one. Now, I've got some spray adhesive on the back of this, so I can indeed just rub over this without too much difficulty. I'm not sure how much I'm actually getting from that, but it's always very difficult when you have a pale colour because you don't always see the contrast. I expect if I were to lift this up, I would see something far more than I can see at the moment. So let's go for a bit of pink. Now, if you're doing this, you want to make sure to go over the edges so that you have some definition on the outside. Otherwise it will look a bit peculiar. And now I'm going to go for my darker one, which is a plum colour, and put some darker bits in there. This is entirely random, I have no idea what it's going to come out like. You can leave some paler edges, and if you want to, you can go far outside it just in case you want a bigger piece than you thought you might. Which isn't a bad thing to do. It's bad. I don't think anyone could say that was difficult to do. Right, now for the reveal. With this one, all I've done is used it as a stencil, and it's come out really nicely. I do like the fact that you've got these semi-textured looking areas where I've just dabbed it with the blending tool. But it comes out really nicely and it's a pretty result. And then also I've got this one which has been embossed, and then I have put the piece of plastic over the top of the embossed image and gone over it with the ink. So that's one side. And that's the effect on the other. I don't know if you can easily see it, but it does make the embossing or debossing stand out more. So using this one pattern, I've done 4 cards so far. Now this one is one that was embossed, and the inside of the leaves, the petals are raised, and the outer part is the bit that dips down. And I've just added a few gems on it to create just a little bit more interest. So this is a very sort of plain, simple version using the stencil. So that's the first one. The second one is in a different colourway. Now this one I have backed it with a frame of a slightly darker colour, and as you can see it sets off the colours quite nicely. This one is much more subtle, this is a bit more in your face, but basically the same type of thing, only this one is not actually embossed at all. This is just straightforward stenciling. Okay, no embossing on there. This one here I did, and I deliberately cut the pattern so that it was going around one side of the card, not all the way across, and I've put some blue Aurealis crystals on. Now this to me looks kind of Christmassy. I don't see why it does, but it does. But it's a pretty card, and you could have it up that way, or indeed you could have it portrait mode. And finally I've got this one, which is more of a gents card, I think. I don't know why I think it, but I do tend to think that. And with this one I've used the grey one that I just embossed with the machine underneath, and then I've offset another panel, and this happens to be the black one that I coloured with the powders. And then I put some thin sticky tape around the edge, and I used some foils to press on and to make that metallic. I've added a few little gems on there just to set it off completely, but I haven't added a sentiment to any of these because, as I said before, quite often I don't know what occasion I'm going to be sending cards off for, and sentiments are something that if you're using this kind of design, they should be relatively small and subtle and let the design do all the work. So that's it, 4 cards that I've done from that one design, and the file is linked below. Thanks for watching, take care now, bye bye.